What if there is no space travel? What if we're in a simulation and this is the final season?
Why would this? Well,
it's
to entertain to entertain a hypothetical, it would be an entertaining season. You know,
kind of. It's like jumping the shark.
Jumping the shark a little bit.
What I mean?
I think it's early on in the show, like season 2, season 3, because we just got TV.
No, it's too absurd. Like when Donald Trump won, it was clear that the writer was like, Donald Trump becomes president? Like that'll rope viewers back in.
It's like episode 7, season 2.
But then when you really think about it, that's sort of novel to us, but historically, stranger things have happened than Donald Trump becoming president. Though that was, let me tell you, that night, my goodness, none of us expected it.
I didn't. Like the New York Times meter was 99% Hillary Clinton.
What'd you think that night?
I was laughing really hard, actually. My brother tells this story. My brother tells this story that he called me. Like, I was literally laughing hysterically just because I thought it was silly. Like, there was not a single angle I could examine it from that was not really, really funny. Like, there was this woman who's just unbelievably crooked and has all of the traits that make a really savvy and unscrupulous politician, has spent her entire life striving for one single political position. And then this one guy wakes up one morning and he's like, I could be president. And he beats her. And to me, that is comedy gold.
It is. And I love that line. Trump was like, I ran for president one time. I'm sorry. He said, I ran for public office one time and I became president.
That's hilarious.
It's funny. It is.
Wow.
He's a funny guy.
Media,
and then
man.
him just like walking on stage with that big smile. Like, and you can't always get what you want was playing. And I'm telling you, dude, I was in tears laughing. I couldn't believe it.
You can't always get what you want.
Yeah,
he loves that song.
It's hysterical. It's so funny.
And then I guess Hillary didn't come out. John Podesta was like, we're gonna go to bed, we'll be back. And then there was no talk about the salt mines that day.
I know.
If you were a salt miner, you were rich that night.
Oh, my goodness, yes you were. Well, so the one regret I really have for my college experience is that I did not have any classes scheduled the day after the election took place, and my friends did. And from what they said, like there were kids crying in class. He said one of my friends said a teaching assistant like started tearing up as they were explaining the situation. One friend sent me like a Snapchat of a student under a desk crying. I mean, it was bad. And it's funny because the media was plastering these images everywhere of people on their side of the political aisle crying, which revealed something interesting about their psychology, which is that they thought we were going to see that and sympathize with them.
Right.
Like, can you imagine if Trump had lost and Trump supporters were crying? They would have found that hysterical. And if Fox News or some right-leaning network tried putting that out there to gain sympathy, they would have been scorched.
Yep.
So it's just a fundamental inability to see somebody else's perspective. Like someone's like, well, my taxes won't get raised and I'll be better able to feed my family. No one's going to take my guns, but I wish I didn't make that liberal arts student cry. Like, what have I done?
So what are you going to do if Joe Biden wins?
I'm going to cry.
Are you going to
I don't know.
I'm going to laugh.
I'm going to laugh. Dude, I honestly have no idea. I have no idea. Earlier in the year before COVID happened and before the economy crashed, I would have said there's no way anyone else could win. I mean, all Trump had to do was not be a fascist, not be Hitler. And he wasn't a fascist and he wasn't Hitler. So he basically surpassed the expectations that the media set up for him. He did. And I'm, understating it. But that's the thing. I'm understating. Like, he actually did well. The economy was okay. He hasn't started any new wars. He's actually been a good president in a number of ways, though he's certainly left something to be desired, if not much. Point is, it wasn't until COVID happened that I thought, maybe he doesn't have as much of a chance. Not that I'm blaming him for it, but it's very easy to see how that narrative is going to be run with. Like, we are under his watch and things aren't going very well.
There's so many conspiracy theories that it was intentional to get him
I've
out
heard
of
them.
office.
Yeah.
I don't jump on any conspiracy theory without
all these
any
countries
kind of
working
evidence.
together.
Yeah,
man.
exactly. I don't.
That kind of international cooperation. You're telling me we got world peace already?
What happened to the Tucker girl that went on Tucker and said it was a weapon? She got banned from Twitter and then.
Oh yeah, gone.
I didn't even hear about that.
Any backup to that? Any?
She worked for the University of Hong Kong, and I don't think she had anything to do with any of the labs in China. So it really did seem like, look, she's an expert. Well, we'll hear what she has to say. I don't believe it.
I don't think any president could have come out of a COVID as a shining beacon of hope.
Nobody did. I mean, look, you had Nancy Pelosi saying we should all go eat dinner in Chinatown. I think didn't Joe Biden say that Trump's ban from China was, I don't know if he used the word xenophobic, but
he didn't say the ban was. He said something like, we need real leadership, not Trump's xenophobia.
Okay, yeah. So I don't think anybody really handled it properly. But that said, Trump is the president, so he does have a special responsibility here.
But what could he do?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mostly agree with you.
Not even COVID, but when I hear people say like, this is Trump's Trump's America and it's Trump's fault with the riots. And I'm like, what should he do?
Yeah.
Like, that's not how the federal government works. I don't want to live like, I don't want the president just going around just.
Yeah, exactly. There's like this fallacy that the president's like the gunslinger that's going to go out and kill the boar and feed the family. It's his job's to sit back, watch, and make sure no one does anything crazy. He has veto power, and that's like it.
And even then, like, he can let him get a little crazy. You know what I mean? Like the president is not supposed to get involved with everything. Now that said, I understand the arguments that he should have been more involved in some ways with COVID-19, but it's all really, really complicated. And so that's what I'm saying. I certainly don't blame him for it, but I think that it's going to be easy to use that against him in the media, though whatever advantage they may have had, they've been doing everything they can to destroy by advocating for and apologizing for these riots and protests.
What do you think Trump could have done better?
I'm not sure. I think it's hard for me to pinpoint anything specifically, and that's why I'm not even saying he dropped the ball. But what I am saying is whenever anything bad happens under anybody's watch, it's easy to see why they're going to be blamed for it.
Yep. And there's nothing to compare it to.
Yeah,
there's no relativity here. Mm-hmm. We people are looking at Europe and they're like, look what happened in this country. And I'm like, Europe is more densely populated, but also, you know, very, very large. And you're comparing one country to like a bunch of different states. Like the U.S. compared to Germany, it's not a question. Germany's microscopic. Yes. Europe as a whole, let's have a conversation, but then it's also got double the population on the. So it's you can't do it. You can't. And they try, and it makes no sense. And then I don't know if you saw this, but there was I can't remember. I think it was Nevada that released the data about COVID deaths. Some of the people who had died with COVID had like end-stage renal failure. And so people are pointing out, if you want to know how we got to 200,000 dead, you need to understand that some of these people were really close to death as it was.
Yeah.
It is true that COVID caused it, but if you're someone with like end-stage renal failure and you're on your deathbed and then you get COVID, you're going to die.
Yeah.
You're going to die if you get a cold.
I think what's going to have to be done, and I'm sure somebody's already thought of this or is working on this, but at the end of the year, at the end of the next 2 years, they're really going to need to compile some data on net deaths, like how many people died overall in this past year as compared to the average. And then we can see how many of these COVID cases were just COVID versus people who are going to die of other diseases anyway.
Right. Like exacerbation, I think is a better word than cause, because if someone with end-stage renal failure gets COVID, it exacerbates the renal failure.
Yeah, and of course, we still don't want them to get COVID. Absolutely not. But it's a different conversation than all of these people were just completely healthy and got COVID and then died.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, I'll just put it, it's really this simple. If you want to have an argument with me about why Trump is bad, I'm listening, man. Tell me, bring it on. But we don't get that. We just get like ridiculous nonsense, no real arguments about policy. They say he failed us with COVID. What did he do wrong?
I had my parents.
What did he do wrong?
My parents had an impeach Trump sticker on their back door when I went back to their house one time. I was like, what are you going to impeach him for? And neither of them had any idea, so I left.
The Ukraine.
Back several months later, and the sticker was gone.
Oh,
so
nice.
There is semblance of intelligence in even the most whack. You know, not that they're the most whack, but I think people, when faced with the truth or like the reality of the situation, sometimes can see that Trump's not a demon. He's kind of a normal guy.
You can go look at my videos. And from like 2018, and I'm saying things like, look, Trump's not that bad, but come on, man, missile strikes in Syria, drone strikes, commando raids, he's not doing great, you know, relative to foreign policy. So as far as I'm concerned, then what's happened in the past year? I used to say specifically, like for me, foreign policy is a big deal.
Yeah.
What are we spending our money on? Why are we spending it? Why are we getting involved in other people's business?
Yep.
I understand sometimes like war happens and there's like conflict between allies and people need our help. Sure, but what does it have to do with us?
Yeah, and like, why are we aiding the Saudis in Yemen, for example? That's one thing that really upsets me about Trump is that he's kept that going.
Money. But he admitted it.
Interesting. I didn't hear that.
He blurted it out. He was like, "Oh, we're making tons of money selling weapons to the Saudis."
Oh, that's so horrible. Yeah, I know that Boeing profited like 500. Yeah, I know that what Boeing profited like 500 billion servicing the F-12s that the Saudi Arabian government is using, which are sometimes used to bomb like fishing boats and farms. It's really evil stuff.
I mean, the weapons we supplied the Russians, sorry to interrupt there, is the same weapons that Al-Qaeda used.
Well, I just want to make sure I finish that point, too.
Yeah, sure.
The past year, Trump has been historic peace deals. He's got no new wars. So we did have he was sort of playing the old game of the existing wars. No new wars. We have historic peace deals, 3 historic peace deals. We have the withdrawal of the troops. I got very little complaint about anymore. His character, sure, but that's not the biggest factor. It's not even the top 5.
I should clarify, the weapons we supplied, I think it was the Afghani people against the Russians in the 80s.
Oh, yeah, the Mujahideen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Then they used those weapons against us.
Yes. Yep.
Hey, do you guys think that the job of the president is like, no good and should be changed? Like too much power for one person, that we could formulate the power structure better?
I think Trump is showing that the office can really be curtailed so long as we have a Congress willing to do it. Like I used to complain about the expansion of executive authority, but the reality was Congress just giving the power and just agreeing. But now that we have this psychotic, 2 years of Democrat impeach screech and get nothing done, now you can really see how they've screwed up Trump's plans every which way constantly. They won't confirm, his appointees and things like that. So, his staff has been, I think it's like a historically thin staff because they won't confirm a lot of people he's trying to put on. I can't get specific on that. But I look at what they do and what Trump wanted to do and how they're jamming him up to an absurd degree. And I'm like, part of me, I'm kind of like, I like the idea that the executive branch is kind of getting some comeuppance and getting their power pulled back. Yeah. But it's a little bit too much. Like, they've gone insane. It's one thing to be like, we're not going to go to war and we're going to pull our troops back, than to be like, we're going to impeach him because, he had a phone call with some guy.
So the fact that they have to go to extreme psychotic lengths is just to curtail the power of that office?
Well, and I think what's sad is how...
That's not what I'm saying at all. Like, I'm saying they are psychotic, and now that they are, they're willing to actually use their powers to, dampen the executive branch.
A functional non-psychotic Congress. Do you think is the president too powerful with their executive authority?
I hear you. I think what we're kind of getting at is almost like the right thing done for the wrong reason. It's good to limit that kind of authority, but the reasons they're doing it for are dubious at best. But I would say that I think the federal government in general just has far too much power. I mean, I'm certainly not as libertarian as I used to be, but I believe heavily in a principle called subsidiarity, which is basically that the most local possible authority to handle something should be the one handling it, and we should only go up to a higher, more powerful or centralized authority if we absolutely have to. But that's not what we've done in this country, man. Over the past 100 years, so much has become federalized. It's
the school system particularly.
Yeah. And the idea of a public school system is actually really insane to me the more that I think about it. It's something you take for granted growing up, but the idea that we just sort of let the government raise our kids is kind of unthinkable, especially in the United States. I mean, I'm not in favor of either of these systems, but in some ways, I think you could argue that a universal healthcare system or the government being in charge of healthcare would be more appropriate to the American vision than the government being in charge of educating everyone's children.
It's showing now too.
Yeah.
With COVID being this, the weirdness of kids having to wear masks and et cetera, et cetera. But like,
no. It's the kids in cubicles. Like they've spaced all the chairs out and then put them in these plastic bins.
And I'm becoming a more of a proponent of homeschooling over time, and it's not just because the evidence has really borne out the fact that homeschooling kids tend to perform better, but it's the fact that when you really examine the situation, we don't even have to look at this through the metric of efficiency. We just have to say, is making a child sit in a desk for 6 to 8 hours a day throughout their entire childhood a good thing to do to somebody?
It wasn't for me.
Does that make them a productive adult? Yeah, it wasn't for me. And this is not me. Yeah, I went to public school, and look, I had a lot of great teachers. I love basically every teacher that I ever had. I'm not criticizing them, but the system is so broken, and I just don't think it's optimal for educating our children. And it's not just that it isn't optimal. I'm not just making an efficiency argument. I'm making a moral argument. It's not good for them.
It wasn't good for me. I got pushed around and bullied, ha ha ha. Mm-hmm. But like I would wait for other kids in the class to figure it out, and they wouldn't call on me anymore. I was like, I already got it. Come on, let's move on to the next problem. Let's move. And I was in the wrong environment. I couldn't figure it out. And there are places that kids can go if they're smarter or dumber than other kids, but
yeah.
For the most part, you just go to public school, and it's just such a mess.
I think one of the biggest problems we have in this country is that from the ages of 0 to 5, kids don't do anything. Do nothing. Was it kindergarten is 5 years old?
Yeah.
So what are you doing through these extremely important years of your life? Sitting around watching TV?
Well, yeah, that's a problem if you just like sit your kid in front of the TV. Then this is why you need attentive parents, which is part of why I'm a proponent of homeschooling, right? Because it's not as if you just wait until that kid is 5. The education starts early. And nobody is ever going to understand a child's mind better than their own parents will. And like homeschooling isn't always just one parent homeschooling the kid. You have co-ops and you have different parents getting together in the neighborhood and educating, taking shifts with the kids. But I mean, smaller classroom sizes, better test scores. Again, I think all the evidence is there for it. But
I think Peterson said that the kids' most formative years were like 1 to 3, ages 1 to 3.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
That's fascinating.
So I often ask people, like, if you want to figure out what you want to do with the rest of your life, ask yourself what you were doing at certain ages. Like, what were you doing when you were 13? Most people don't have a good answer about what they were doing.
Wow.
So I was talking to a friend of mine, and I said, what were you doing when you were 13 years old? And they responded, I don't know, hanging out with my friends. And I was like, you want to open a bar? And she went, oh, I want to open a bar. And I'm like, yeah, because you want to hang out with people. You just want to sit around and drink. So open a bar, and then people will come, and you'll be hanging out. You'll be doing what you did. I thought about this because I'm like, I know a bunch of people who went on to become successful in various industries, skateboarding and music, and they've been doing it literally their whole lives. I had this really funny thought. Like, we say it's like riding a bike. It's so easy to ride a bike, isn't it? No, it's easy because you were like, 2 or 3 years old and your parents put you on the bike and then had you ride with training wheels. So from your entire existence, we've been taught how to ride bikes. Guess what? You're an adult. You can get on a bike. You know how to do it. Imagine if instead of putting on a bike, or in addition to it, we taught them how to do math. Yeah, you showed them complex equations and you started teaching them more and more things, or you gave them a skill. Look, riding a bike is an important thing. I'm glad I know how to do it. And I have memorized the cheat code for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2.
I remember this.
I've known this forever. It's BA, up, down, BA, left, right, BA, start. Why do I know that?
What do you get?
It gives you level select and 10 lives.
Whoa, that game was tough.
Why do I know that? I haven't played that game in like 25 years.
There's repetition in early parts of your life.
I was a little kid,
impressionable.
And that's what I was playing a game and I was taught this. And I never forgot it.
Dude, memorizing phone numbers. I don't know if you guys used to.
Oh, yeah.
And this was before cell phone stuff. I have a book of all my friends' phone numbers, and I just go down the list and memorize all the numbers.
That's awesome.
Just have them on my head. But it was great for, like, memory retention.
Yeah, back in the day when you needed to know whose number. Like, how old are you, James?
I'm 25.
So you don't... Do you
no, I remember having to memorize people's numbers. I mean, I didn't get my first cell phone until high school, so I had to do it quite a bit before then.
And now I don't remember anybody's phone number.
No, never. It's sad that you just lose it.
Yeah. I used to remember, like 50 to 100 phone numbers.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah. Now it's, what's going to happen is, I was watching an episode of Outer Limits. We're just going to have our brains plugged in like the Neuralink or something.
But what if the power goes out?
Yeah.
Then you'll be sitting there like,
oh no.
Man, I really hope not. I really hope not. I'm not volunteering for that if it ever becomes a reality.
Maybe the idea...
Because I wonder, I'm skeptical of the fact that we ever really could interface with the human brain in that way.
Have you seen the Neuralink?
No.
Oh, there's Elon did like I don't know what you call it, but like he showed pigs that had the Neuralink implanted and that it actually functions.
And it was like that movie Gamer where what's the guy's name? Michael C. Hall, is that his name? Where he did like the puppet thing and then all the people are just forced to do the same motions. So like Elon plugs in his Neuralink and then he plugs it into the pig and then he goes like this and the pigs start like marching and he's like, I'm kidding.
That's horrible.
I was thinking maybe the idea of power going out is like an archaic idea that will no longer exist in the future. Like they have these nuclear batteries that are in like carbon glass. So you may just have endless amounts of electricity forever that can't be solar flared out.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so theoretical to me. I'm just so skeptical of all of that. I feel like so many predictions. Whenever we make predictions for the future, this is going to sound so. This is actually going to sound really, really. How should I put this? Vapid. But look, I mean, the reality is either people like way over predict or way under predict. When you look at a magazine like from the early 1900s, what will the year 1909 look like?
They thought firefighters would be flying.
Yeah,
not even kidding.
Yeah, I remember I saw one where everyone was transported around in these like large hot air balloons. It's very cool looking, but every time I hear a prediction of the future, I look and I think about that.
I think I already know the answer, but would you plug your brain into the neural net?
100% no, never.
Would you consider it?
Would you wait?
No, I just wouldn't. I don't think I would do it.
You don't want to join the Borg?
Absolutely not. I understand that resistance is futile.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but
not for me. This is why we need the Second Amendment.
Yeah, no Neuralink. But what if Neuralink gives you the ability to like experience different worlds and like virtual reality and
This world's enough.
Is it?
Yeah.
But you can't fly around shooting laser beams out of your eyes and throwing fireballs at the the evil.
You can't. You can't. You don't know what that's right.
What if it like made you able to draw your art faster and better?
Oh, that's a good question. I would still just want to use the computer.
What if you could download like jujitsu and then you just like, like the Matrix and you just click the thing and then you were like, whoa, and then you just knew everything.
I just feel like there would be so many unintended consequences and implications to that I can't even begin to comprehend I just can't agree.
What I'm afraid of is that other people will plug in and then they'll start doing like for you, for instance, they'd start drawing and so many people would be able to do exactly what you did, but better, faster, that you'd fall behind.
Communism.
Uh-oh.
That's the
digital communism.
Yeah. Jeez. Neuralink. Everyone would be the same. I would plug in, you'd plug in, and then we would sync, and I would have all of your abilities.
Oh my goodness!
And I would be like, now I am the Freedom June.
You'd steal from me. This is exactly why I don't plug in. I don't want anyone to steal my ideas. That's right. The whole reason I'm afraid here.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.